Hey everybody, how are you? It's Denise from About the Oscars. Thanks for coming back. Today is going to be just a whole bunch of information about what's currently going on right now in the film industry. There are some rumors that the Oscars might be canceled entirely, and we might know as early as next week. So I really hope not to hear that news, but it would be nice to kind of just know one way or the other. So the situation basically is this. Cannes Film Festival canceled after they had a delay. They did just entirely cancel just this past week. They listed their films who would have participated in this year's festival, and essentially the films that are on this list won't have their premiere at Cannes. They will have to have their premiere at another festival. Now, there are a lot of other festivals that are delayed, canceled, or have been moved online. So a lot of that is also up in the air. And of course, the festivals play a huge part in the Oscars every year. Now, I was doing some research about which festivals had been delayed, what dates they got moved to, which festivals canceled entirely, and which festivals had moved online. And I came across a source and found out, and I was kind of surprised by this, that I think it was 158 festivals are Academy worthy, or if you participate, you can be considered for an Oscar. So that was interesting to me. I also came across a filmmaker whose name is Dalton, and he put out a YouTube video a couple years ago that's called Get Your Film Accepted into Film Festivals. And when I was thinking about these film festivals, I did kind of wonder, okay, so how do these artists make their films? The filmmakers then have to get them to the film festival, so how does that work? And he did an amazing job. It's a super short video. I think it's only 6 minutes long, so I will list that below so that you can take a look at it. But he essentially talks about his short film, which is called Mayfield, and he describes the fact that he participated in 20 film festivals and won 13 awards for this film. And now the film is available for free on his website. And I did see it, and again, it's only 20 minutes, so I think it's something that if you're interested, you could watch it, and it's not going to take up a ton of time. But it kind of shows you how a filmmaker makes a film and then goes through the process of getting the film to the festival and what awards are won. But I love the way that he described it, and he also taught me something else which I was curious about. So there used to be a product called Without a Box, and I think it actually may have been related to Amazon. I might be wrong about that, but it is no longer in existence. And it was a tool which helped filmmakers apply for festivals. And now I guess the better way to do it is a software tool online called Freeway. And what happens is the filmmaker goes on this platform, they can make a page, they can list their movie, they can include some notes about what the film was about, what they were trying to accomplish, maybe some tips about their film specifically. And the film festivals are typically looking for filmmakers with a unique perspective. And Zach talks a little bit about kind of describing what your unique perspective is and why it is that you want to tell that story. And he happens to mention that the differentiator for him was that and he described this in his notes when he was applying for these film festivals, is that they actually created 2 of the sets in the actor's garage. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And of course, if you go watch the movie on his website, you'll get to see that for yourself. So he talks a lot about why or why not your film gets into a festival. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's not any good. It just means it wasn't a good fit for that particular festival. So the film makers can go on Film Freeway. They can choose which festival they would like to participate in. All of their information is right there. They can pay the film festival fee, push the button, and it's taken a lot of the work out of them finding ways into the film festivals. So again, I'm going to share all of that information below if it's something that you are interested. So if we don't have film festivals this year, or we have very limited film festivals, what does that mean for films this year? Well, they've got a couple of choices. One is that they're going to hold and release their film or release their film next year. Another option would be to go directly to streaming. Now, not everybody has the option or ability to do that, but it certainly is a choice, since the Academy did make some concessions in terms of films not being showcased in a theater as part of the requirements for the Oscars for this year. Now, what if theaters don't open up? So that, again, is a whole nother problem. If coronavirus keeps theater owners from opening because they don't feel it's safe, and I know I've said this before, but I'm not really ready to go into a movie theater at this point, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel exactly the same way. So if the film can't be shown in a movie theater, well, then what are they going to do? So if we talk about Tenet, which is a movie that everyone's waiting for. It's a Christopher Nolan film. It is being distributed by Warner Brothers, and I believe its original release date was in June, and they pushed it back to July. But what happens if Warner Brothers can't distribute or show that film? Now, Tenet is a really good example of what they call a tentpole film. So it's kind of even bigger than a blockbuster. And I've also talked about that. But it's a film they typically release in the summer, and they are putting a ton of weight on it because the film was, number one, super expensive to make, but they know that it is going to be a guaranteed money maker. And in this particular spy film, Tenet, Christopher Nolan, it's got a lot of things going for it. So that's how Warner Brothers, or any studio for that matter, knows that their huge tentpole film in the summer will help kind of spread the risk for the other film projects that they have throughout the year. And I think I read that there's only 1 or 2 out of 10 films that actually turn a profit. I was super surprised by that. If I can find that, I'll list that below. So films not being shown in the theater, again, really directly relates to whether we can or cannot have the Oscars, or whether they can just be delayed. Who knows? If we delay so far or push back so far, then the Academy might have to change the rule and allow films that have been waiting to get released to pass over the end of the year deadline, when typically if they were to release a movie in January or February, it would count towards the next year's Oscars. So we'll have to wait and see what the Academy decides. So let's talk about Netflix for a minute. Now, a lot of people are like, what the heck does Netflix have to do with the Oscars? A lot of people don't realize how many Oscar nominations they have had over the last couple of years. And last year, they had 24 nominations. So they certainly are a game changer, but a big player in the film industry today. So Netflix has decided not to go to any film festivals this year. So that's an interesting turn, because they have quite a few films that they have planned to come out this year. One of which, and this is the one probably that is getting the most publicity, is Spike Lee's Five Bloods. And that is actually coming out on Friday, I think it's the 12th or the 13th. So you'll be able to go and see that directly. And The Five Bloods is a story of 4 Vietnam soldiers who go back to Vietnam to search for the remains of their military captain or leader, and there also might be buried treasure. So number one, this film's going to get a lot of attention because it's a Spike Lee film. Secondly, war movies do really well at the Oscars. There have been 16 war movies that have won Best Picture. And this film is definitely going to get Oscar attention if we have the Oscars. So you can go to Netflix and check out The Blood next week. I also wanted to mention that this past week, they just released Lady Bird, which is a 2017 film. It was nominated for 5 Oscar nominations. It is a Greta Gerwig film. She wrote and directed. And that made me also think about all the other movies that are either one coming out on Netflix this year, since they're bypassing the film festivals, they'll go direct to showing them on their own platform. But then I also wanted to share some information, and I'm going to include this link below, as to how many films are actually on Netflix's platform that are award-winning. So you can go to Netflix's award-winning films page, and they do have them They do have them categorized by genres, which is how we usually find them. So you could look up romantic, action, based on books. Gritty was a category, so I thought that was interesting because that's the word I think I used to describe Winter's Bone the other day. You can look up the films by award-winning directors, critically acclaimed. They also have independent Spirit Awards. So the Spirit Awards are for independent filmmakers. Those happen every year. Those films are also broken out in their own category. You can look up movies directed by women, international films. Also look up under Festival Focus, which is a group of movies that were shown at Sundance, South by Southwest, and Toronto. And they even have a Bollywood category if you've not seen any of Bollywood movies. So that might be kind of interesting. So when you go and look, there are a ton of award-winning movies. They might be listed under several categories. So if you're looking for, like I said, Lady Bird, you'll probably find it in a couple different places, including movies directed by women. But I will include that Netflix award-winning film link down below, and go watch Spike Lee's new film on Friday. As soon as I get some information about whether the Academy has decided to postpone or cancel, I will share that in a future video. I will also try and find out the dates and plans that Netflix has for releasing the videos that they had slated for the rest of 2020. So I hope everybody has a great week, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.